Welcome to the Back to School Kodable Education demo. I'm going to just go through, we have a ton of really exciting updates that we finished over the summer. And so we're just going to kind of walk through the new changes, the new updates, and walk through not only Kodable Basics, but also Kodable Creator. Before we get started, I am Emmy and I'm the Teacher Success Manager and the Teacher Team Lead at Kodable. I am a former K-8 STEM teacher. I was in the classroom for about 10 years. 8 of those were in the STEM classroom. And then I also used Kodable for 7 years. Danielle, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle. Kind of have a similar story to Emmy there. I was a STEM teacher for 6 years, taught K-6, and used Kodable for about 3 years.
Thanks, Danielle. So the agenda for the demo, we are going to first talk about Kodable Basics. Hi, Claire. Thanks for joining. So we're first going to talk about Kodable Basics, which is our K-2 app and the new features. We're going to do an overview of new dashboard changes, and then we also are going to talk about Kodable Creator, which is our new 3rd through 5th grade platform. I'm going to give you a quick demo just so you could see how this fits into your classroom, how easy it is to use. And then at the end, we will do a Q&A. Since we are a small group, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to put it in the chat. Danielle and I can get to those as well. All right. So kind of overview of all of our new features for Kodable Basics. The Galaxy map in Mission Control got a total redesign. I will show you what that looks like in a second.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
We built in some student assessments, which is a much requested feature where you're actually able to see how your students are doing within Kodable. We have included free play mode, which is actually a way for students to get additional practice on a concept. And then we also introduced badges, which is a really fun way for students to feel motivated about their learning. So some really exciting things. We have added about twice as much content. So we were getting a lot of feedback from teachers that students were not having as much content as they would have liked. Students really loved Kodable, but they were getting through the game. So we've actually doubled our content. And so it should take students much longer to work through the game. We have stronger tools to track student growth, adaptive practice modes that meet every learner at their level. I like to call this self-differentiation. As a teacher and someone who used Kodable myself, this was something that I loved, is that any student, regardless if they were brand new to coding or if they were a little more familiar, they were able to go in and get what they needed to succeed. And then we also have new standards-based student progress. These are aligned to both CSTA, they are aligned to Common Core state standards. And so we have aligned them to those as well as some other standards too. We're going to release all of this soon, so you can see state standards as well. All right, overview for the Galaxy map redesign. A couple of things you may notice with your K-2 students when they enter Kodable Basics is the Galaxy map actually looks more simplified. So right now we only have these 5 courses, which is Cloudhaven, Smeeborg, Aquatopia, Moon Garden, and Asteroid Belt. These are meant to be completed in clockwise order because as the planets progress, they get a little bit harder. Mission Control also looks different. The map, which is what I just showed you, this is where all the planets live. The vortex on the left, this is unlimited at practice for students. So these are challenge mazes that students can unlock. Again, the vortex is only available at home, but if you have students who are really loving Kodable at school and they're really wanting that additional challenge, this is a great place to show them to go. And then also beach cleanup has now been on mission control. So it's no longer in the Galaxy map, it is now in mission control. So just slight changes. Okay, exciting stuff as teachers. We have included student assessment. So not only does the Galaxy map look different, we also have organized it based on concepts. So for every planet, for example, Cloudhaven, we have a beginner, intermediate, advanced, and mastery. So in Cloudhaven, for those of you who are familiar, it's teaching students sequencing, which is just putting code in the correct order. What's really great is for every mission, so beginner, intermediate, advanced, and mastery, there's actually an assessment level at the end. So this is notated where the red outline is. This assessment level is really great because not only can students complete it, but they actually have to complete it without the hint system. So in the game currently, students can ask for hints, they can get a little help. For the assessment piece, this really is a true assessment where students will need to fully understand the concept in order to progress. Teachers will be able to see this progress on their dashboard and get an idea of how students are doing within Kodable. The assessment levels are very similar to the other levels that students are seeing within Kodable Basics. The only difference is that they have these really fun rainbow stars that twinkle and the students really enjoy them. That's the main difference. And then the other difference, again, is that the hint system is not available for them. So students will have to use their critical thinking, use everything they learned up until this point in order to complete the assessment. Now, sure, we are all wondering, what happens if a student is not able to complete the assessment? We have created something called free play mode. As teachers, we can call this practice mode. Pretty much if a student is struggling during an assessment, we give them the tools to continue practicing that concept. So this again is essentially unlimited content for students to complete. So for example, my student Jimmy, if he goes into the assessment, he's having trouble, Fuzzbuzz will fly out. He will offer Jimmy the opportunity to have some free play, continue practicing that coding concept, whether it be sequencing or conditions, in order for him to successfully get through the assessment. So this is our assessment piece. Do we have any questions about kind of just overview of Galaxy map changes, assessment before I continue? And feel free to put anything in the chat too. Awesome. Okay, Danielle, please let me know if anyone, just because I can't see. All right, the next big update that we have included are badges. So badges are a really fun way for students to track their progress and get invested in their learning. So right now, badges are throughout our entire Kodable education product, which includes Kodable Basics, which is our K-2 product, Kodable Creator, which is our 3rd through 5th product, and then also Bug World. So they'll be able to go through and get the information or earn the badges throughout the course. Kirsten, I just saw your question. So Kirsten said, I've never used Kodable before. Is this all free? Yes. So Kodable is a free product for teachers to use. There are some premium features. We can talk about those, especially when we get to the teacher dashboard section. But Kodable is free for students and is a really great resource for you to just try out coding. It's very hands-off for the teacher. Yes. Okay. So badges. For those of you who are familiar with Kodable or not, whenever any students log into Kodable Basics, they will see their name in the top right corner. To access badges, students can just go ahead and click on their name and they'll be able to see all of the badges that they earned in all areas of the game. Like I said, you can toggle between the different badges. So you can toggle between Kodable Basics, Bug World, and Kodable Creator, and you can see all the badges that are earned throughout. Okay, teacher dashboard updates. this is really exciting for us as educators because we are able to track our students' progress in an easier and better way, truthfully. So with these updates, we have more detailed progress reporting. We have a new assignments page that allows you to customize your assignments based on student grade levels or needs. So we actually provided you all with suggestions on what is age appropriate for certain grades. However, if you are one of those people where you've been using Kodable for years and you're very familiar with your platform, there's also options to customize. So I'll show you that in a bit. So the first exciting thing is we have new progress reporting. Since we have so much new content, we needed to match our progress reporting to reflect that content. So when you log into your teacher dashboard, if you go to the progress tab, you will be able to see all of the progress that your students have completed in both Kodable Basics and Kodable Creator. So progress will look like how it does on the right. Kodable Basics, really Kodable tutorial, the first one. This is just a tutorial that launches right when students get into the game. And then after that, you'll be able to see whether or not students completed the beginner, intermediate, advanced, and mastery. And then you'll also be able to see how they did on the assessment, which is down in the lower right corner. So anytime you want to kind of dig into how your students are doing within Kodable, you can click on the specific course. So I can click on Cloud Haven and it'll bring me into a more detailed view. And I can see exactly how students were doing on each level within that course. I can also see how many stars they earned on the assessment. And so this is a really great way to monitor and see which students are excelling within Kodable, or maybe the students who need a little bit more help. This is just another kind of close up of how progress reporting works moving forward. In this example, the student got all 3 stars, but if they only got 2 stars or 1 star, the bubble would be yellow. So it's just a very easy visual to see how students are doing. And then just don't forget, you can toggle between both Basics and Creator to see progress for both programs. So keep in mind, if you are using Kodable Basics with your K through 2 students, or you are using Kodable Creator with 3rd through 5th grade students, everything is in one place and you're able to see it all on the progress tab. Does anyone have any questions about progress? Or we move on? No? Okay. All right, another really exciting feature for our assignments page is that we actually have suggested course assignments for you all. So under the My Classes tab on your dashboard, you can go to assignments and you can actually select the grade level that you are using with Creator. So for example, maybe I am using it with a kindergarten class. I can click on the kindergarten course assignment, and it is going to give me suggestions on what students should complete within the game. So the assignments tab, so courses are the suggestions. Now the assignments are kind of areas that you want your students to go into versus not. We have some teachers who just assign everything and students explore the game at their own pace, which is a great option. Other teachers like to teach Kodable with more linearity. And this is where assignments really come in. So under the assignments tab, you'll be able to assign and unassign different content. Again, with our suggestions, we'll actually assign or unassign things for you. But just keep in mind that these are all clickable options. You can unassign the entire course, which is where this red arrow is, or you can unassign or assign specific missions within the course. So like, say, for example, maybe I have a 1st grade group and they've already done beginner and intermediate of Cloud Haven and kindergarten. I can unassign those, so it's not a repeat, but they can still practice the concept by having advanced and mastery courses. Kodable Creator has the same thing. You can assign and unassign different courses. Some teachers choose to just assign the first one, and then once all the students complete High Flyer, then they unlock Run and Jump. So it's really dependent on how you want to use Kodable in your classroom. But either way, if you are one of those teachers where you just want your students to get on to Kodable and explore, it is built for that. So these are all tools for the teachers who really want to kind of dig in a little bit more and teach it with more linearity. But if you are not one of those teachers, Kodable is great to kind of just have your kids get on it. Okay, that is our K-2 Kodable Basics updates. Do we have any specific basics questions before we move into our 3rd through 5th grade platform? This is also really just great for advanced coders, 2nd graders, especially those who are reading, proficient at reading. Creator is also a great resource. But before we move on, do we have any creator specific, or sorry, basic specific questions?
Becky put a question in the chat. She said, is this for basic? That may have been about the last slide.
Oh, yes. Yep. Basic, Becky. So all of what I just talked about was for basics. The teacher dashboard is for both. Like, we included progress reporting for creator and basics, and also assignments for creator and basics, but that was kind of just like the basics updates. And now we're moving into creator 3rd through 5th. Okay. All right. So okay, we have 2 questions in the class. I'm new to this. I don't know how to start with my students. Claire, I can go ahead. Actually, Danielle and I will reach out to you independently, and follow up, and we can get you any getting started materials and help you get going with your class. We're happy to help. Kirsten, same thing with you. We can do the same thing. We'll reach out to you and help you. But what I would do if you're using Kodable with grades 4 through 6, I would start with creator and just kind of see how it goes. I think they'll be okay. We'll talk about it, but it's really meant to be hands off and give them a lot of help if they need it. So I think 4th through 6th grade creator is a great place to start. Awesome. Okay. Kodable creator time. This is very exciting for us, especially Danielle and I were both STEM teachers, as we mentioned. Kodable Creator is something that does not exist for teachers in 3rd through 5th grade so far. There are other platforms like code.org or Scratch, but for me as a teacher, it was really hard for me to get students to understand what they were actually learning. It was an exploratory tool, but at the end of the day, it was not a tool that worked very well, at least in my classroom. So what's really great about Kodable Creator is that it's a game creation platform for students, but it is very, very engaging, but also provides students with what they need to be successful without teacher intervention. And I'll show you what I mean by that, but we've really set it up where students, regardless of their coding skills, can really excel and be successful within Kodable Creator while also just having a really good time. So, what is Kodable Creator? Imagine your students playing video games while simultaneously learning to code and create their own. At their own pace, they'll master essential computer science skills through an interactive, hands-on experience that makes learning to code fun and engaging. Right now, we have 4 main creator courses. It's High Flyer, Run and Jump, Capture the Flag, and Key Quest. You can think about these as just like game templates, but I'm going to show you a little bit more about what courses look like. So courses, again, are your tool as teachers to get your students learning the concepts that they need in order to be successful in free creator. So creator, think about it as a game design platform. Courses get them ready to make their own games from scratch, but it's giving them the tools they need to do that successfully. So what we've done is we've set up these courses. So for each course, like I mentioned in the last slide, let's say, for example, High Flyer. Within each game type, there are going to be 4 missions. So the first one is debug, the second one is elevate, The third one is hack, and the last one is master. So it's very similar to how students are completing courses in basics. Same thing with creator. So students really should be able to go from creator or go from basics into creator and really see a lot of similarities between the two products. So I'm going to show you first what courses looks like. So courses, again, are meant to be hands-off for the teacher. So the first course students always enter is the debugging course, which is fixing mistakes in their code. So they're going to be walked through this tutorial. This is CatBot. He is our AI tutor. He is going to help us throughout the entire game. So students are going to enter the first mission, which is debugging. And CatBot is going to give them instructions on how to fix their game because the pesky bugs came in, scrambled their code, and now they need to figure out how to get their game working as expected. So if you're looking at my screen, CatBot is going to give students directions. What's great about CatBot is he not only has text directions, but he also reads everything aloud if students want him to. So maybe for students who aren't as proficient in reading, they are still able to be successful on this platform because there are so many ways for them to get help and get what they need. So CatBot will give instructions. And then also on the right-hand side, we have our mission objective panel. This is a way for students to follow through or follow along what they are working on within that course. Again, this is the debugging mission. So there's like red smoky boxes that let the students know that there's an error in their code. But as they progress, the courses kind of start taking away a little bit of the help. So this is an example of an elevate mission. So again, the red boxes within the code go away and students are just following the mission objectives on the right-hand side. So students will be able to have them read aloud, like I said, but we took it a step further where if students need help, they can actually click on the need help button and CatBot will fly out and actually show them exactly what to do. This doesn't take out any of the learning. There's still critical thinking, but it's just another way for students to think about what they're doing, receive the help that they need without the teacher having to come over and assist with every student. So within Kodable Creator, there are some main coding concepts that are transferred from Kodable Basics into Kodable Creator. They just look a little bit different and more age appropriate. So the first one is functions. Second one is properties. Third one is debugging. Fourth one is loops. And then the last one that we just added are conditions or conditional statements. So again, these are all concepts that students are learning in basics and then are able to apply in a different way within Creator. Oh, yes.
We have a question in the chat. I thought it was a good question. So, do you recommend students starting with Creator if they have experience with other coding apps like Scratch, but not Kodable Basics?
That's a great question, Mina. Really great question. I think it would be okay because a lot of the coding concepts are similar, especially with the kind of help that we've given students within the game. They should be successful. I run classes and I had a very young group of third graders be able to get into courses and they were using the tools, like they were having CatBot read aloud directions and they were clicking on the need help button, but they were able to successfully get through it. And then I did it with fifth graders and those students didn't need those tools to help them get through it, but they challenged themselves in other ways by modifying their properties more. And so it really is a tool that could work with any of your students within that age range. Just so you all are aware, so logging in to Creator is the exact same way students log into Basics. They just go to kodable.com, they log in using their class code or Clever, or however you typically log your students into Kodable. They will be prompted to start the first course, which is High Flyer. It will give them a tutorial. And again, it just really walks them through. They'll know exactly where they are. You as a teacher will know exactly what course they're on. Creator is a little more linear within the courses. Students are expected to complete them in order. That's only because the content builds. And it will be really hard for a student who starts maybe at like course 4 to understand what they needed to know at course 1. So we do suggest that students complete them in order. So there are three kind of, outside of courses, three other main areas within Kodable Creator. There's free create. This is the end goal for students. So students who complete the courses, the end goal is that they have enough tools to be able to build a game from scratch. The blocks look the same, everything looks the same, but they'll be able to really design any game they could possibly think of in free create. If they need a little bit more of guardrails, they can edit a template, and that's going to give like them the beginning of the game, and then they can modify their code as they go. And then there's also a browse section, of course, where students can share their games, they can play other students' games, they can get inspiration. So these are the areas outside of the courses as well. I just want to show you, so this is what it looks like inside of a game. So if I'm a student, this is our run and jump course. If I'm a student, the code that I'm modifying is on the left-hand side. As you can see, we give them text code and they're modifying the variables within that code. It's very accessible. They're not typing lines of code. They're just manipulating it, which is a great way for them to be successful. And then I think students love this the most, but the properties, students love making their characters huge or tiny, and they love doubling them. So the properties is really fun to see how creative students can be while they're designing and coding their games. So I've mentioned Catbot a few times. So Catbot shows up many places within Creator. The biggest one is during courses, where Catbot is essentially a student support, a tutor. But what's really neat is Catbot can actually, we have an AI portion. So once students complete courses and they get into the free create area, students can actually rely on Catbot to help. So for example, how do I change the background? Add 2 more cars. Where do I click to test the game? And so students can actually, in a responsible way, use AI to get help building their own games. It's not going to give students the answers, but it will give them tips on how to be successful. And so this is a really kind of great way for students to use AI responsibly, get creative, and design their own video games. Catbot also is bilingual, which is great. So if you have students who speak many languages, they can still use Catbot. We also have speech to test, where students can ask Catbot the questions versus typing it in, which is great for ELL support, of course. So for Kodable Creator, some ways to use it. You could use it as like a free choice option. You do whole group instruction, where you direct all of your students to complete the high flyer course. Centers, extension, they can even play it at home. So these are all great ways to kind of just get your students into Creator, try it out. And since this is such a new product, we're really looking for partners with our educators for us to learn. So if you are trying to create in your classroom and something's really great, we would love to hear it. If you have suggestions, if you have feedback, maybe something isn't as clear as it could be, we would love to hear from you all. We are all ears all the time. You guys are the experts and you know what works best in your classroom. So please feel free to share your feedback with Creator. We would really, really appreciate it. Last thing I just want to mention, we do have an at-home only app called Bug World. If you are on a premium or premium plus subscription, you can also download this for school use. But this is a great way for students to manipulate text coding. This is the third app in our Kodable education product. Students love this, they have a blast, but pretty much they are manipulating code for their heroes to defeat the slimes. So I just want you all to know that this is also an option to extend learning, especially for the students who really love Kodable at school. Does anyone have any additional questions? We are going to be following up with all of you